Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, we're doing some tropical repots the first weekend of June. Here's the plan for today. My variegated ficus is due for a repot. I was planning on doing this repot in July. We've had 80s for a couple of days and now 90 for 2 days back to back, and the forecast is for 90, around 90 for the next 5 or 6 days, high 80s after that. It's humid, it's hot. My car thermometer on the last drive around town earlier today said 97. My phone said 94 the last time I checked. So with this warmth, it's okay to repot these tropical plants. We should be okay. And the following week for the aftercare, it's going to be warm. So we'll just keep it out of the really hot direct sun, but it'll still be super warm and getting a lot of indirect sun in a couple spots in my garden. So I've had a couple of ideas. I have my wooden pot from the cabin. That could use a refix up, a touch up, new stain, shine it up a little bit. It's got some of the same variegated ficus. I do believe this is a Ficus benjamina, and just got it from a big box store, and these are all cuttings from this tree, these 3 trees, this forest. And I have a couple more in the plant room on top of the fish tank if I need some more. But originally I was thinking about beefing up this forest. Got some gaps in here. I could put 2 trees over to one side, maybe put these 2 trees over here with the small one behind it, and then the rest of them over here. Will they all fit in this pot? And if not, maybe I just add a tree and put the rest in a smaller oval. This is the same size oval as this really nice ceramic pot, so this would be a downgrade in pots. But maybe I could put all the little ones in here and just leave this one alone, or all the little ones in here. So I got a couple of pot options, but it's time to get this going. So I've been doing a lot of interesting, well, I don't know if you'd call it research, but I suppose anytime you're looking up new information, you're researching it, right? I've been researching the mycorrhiza. The mycorrhiza, which is usually associated with pines, is a subject that's gained a lot of popularity in the last couple of years, for sure. And I'm reading a book right now called Searching for the Mother Tree. Her name is Suzanne, I'm going to forget it, I'll put it in the link, the description. Searching for the Mother Tree. So she is someone who has gained popularity in the last couple of years on YouTube. She's been doing research up in Canada for the last 30 years or so, working with the underground fungi and the mycorrhiza and how is it affecting the forest. So she comes from a forest background, family who cuts down forests. She, through an incident with her dog at the time, got a glimpse of the underneath world, underneath what was the outhouse, because the dog fell in the outhouse. Interesting, fun story. The dog made it. But she saw the underneath, and then she never looked back as far as looking at forest the same way again, and went to school for it. So in a nutshell, she's talking about this mycorrhiza and all what happens beneath the surface of all of our trees and plant life. So as best as I understand mycorrhiza and this symbiotic relationship is that this mycorrhiza connects to the root system and helps to bring nutrients and the water uptake to the trees. And so for some of the trees where the root system is harder to come by, a little bit more persnickety, the mycorrhiza comes through and really helps. Now this also happens with other tree varieties. I was just watching a stream from Peter Warren over in the UK, and he's done a couple of episodes on this as well, and some very fascinating information. And apparently the beech are also a tree that respond well to the mycorrhiza, and it's good to have it in there. So what am I babbling all about this for? I just took out all 3 of those trees from the forest. I set them aside. So here's my soil. So in a nutshell, what I'm going to start to do, and do a little experimenting, and I'll do it with this first tropical replant, because I'm sure the good bacteria in the soil is beneficial for all the trees, some more than others, and I have a lot more research to do. But you know me, if you've watched my channel at all, I'm someone who likes to experiment. So instead of putting our newly repotted trees in very stale soil and inorganic lava, pumice, and akadama with no good bacteria in there, how is that good for our tree, especially in that early part of repotting when we're stressing it out? I kind of liken it to the fish tank world. If you were to get a fish tank set up and pour a whole bunch of water from the tap and then put fish in it right away, the fish might die. Some species for sure would die. Now we have stuff that takes out the chlorine from the water, and there's stuff that puts in good bacteria in the water. But what they'll tell you at most pet shops, and I think about this now with my trees, is you have to set up that tank and let it go for 24, 48 hours, maybe 72 or more. And let that good bacteria develop in the soil of the fish tank, and let it go and circulate through, and then that'll provide that healthy environment for the fish. Fresh bonsai soil has no healthy bacteria in it that I know of, the way I'm understanding it. This is why when we add pine bark sometimes, or some sphagnum moss, maybe some sphagnum peat, that's going to add some of that organic material that's going to break down, and that's what fungi does. Fungi has had a pretty bad rap apparently, because it just, you find the fungus, you know, and all the decay and things that die, and then it recirculates it and it starts life all over again. So there's good fungi and bad fungi, right? There's stuff that's not good for us. There's mushrooms out there that can kill us. This last documentary I watched said there were over 1.5 million varieties of mushrooms. Only 20,000 of them produce actual mushrooms. So the fungi, 1.5 million, but only about 20,000 make the mushrooms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mix here. I'm out of tubs. I'm going to make a mix here of soil that's going to be 75% my good clean soil sifted out, and 25% of recycled soil. Now I'm using the soil from these trees, so there shouldn't be any cross-contamination or issues with any pests that I would maybe give to other trees. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a 75-25 mix. That way, when I replant these trees today, it'll already have 25% of the soil that has some good bacteria from it been growing in this pot for the last 2 years. So 1, 2, 3. Let's see if I have a full scoop of this in here. And 1. That won't be enough for both pots. So let's see if we have enough for another scoop. Yes, we do. And there we go. So I now have a blend of 75% sifted soil, no organic matter in there, until I blended 25% of this mix now with the recycled soil that I just took out of those trees, that forest. My soil is ready for a repot. So I have my pot all cleaned out. And I've got these little trees that I also have to find out what they're going to look like. Incidentally, my root system of tree number 1, my root system for tree number 2, got some little bit of trimming we can do, and my root system for tree number 3. So we'll get those going. But let's see what's in these guys first. Now the decision on what to do with my trees. Do I put these back into this same pot? The roots right now are, you know, giving me about a half a pot full. And if I'm to put a couple more trees, I certainly have room for a trio of small ones over here. That would be 6. Put this in here, it'd be 7. We get our odd number. So we have some ability to make a few decisions. If I take one of these trees and put it over here, put a little one up front, and then a couple back here for perspective. I got some trees growing back here. This little guy, oop, that's the main one there. Oh, here's the little guy. Can this little guy come over here, start growing out there? So that'll be 8 trees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now when there's this many trees, the even amount of trees doesn't seem to be too bad. That would give us one thick little forest. Big ones stand up so nice for me. This one bends that way, so that's kind of nice. This one just has a nice V in the center. Can be towards the back there. This little guy can be kind of up front here, like he's a tree inside the forest trying to grow. And I got this one up front too. So the other concept about searching for the mother tree is, in many forests, you have a mother tree. The tree that's put all the seeds out on the forest floor. Birds take them wherever they take them. But the underneath fungi system, and the mycelium, all talk to each other. And all the forest trees and shrubs and bushes and everything underneath the ground, they kind of help each other out. And if you have the mother tree right here, and these littler trees are getting infested with something, the mother tree will send over more nutrients and try to healthen up that tree to fend off those pests or issues. So this idea of forests that I've been interested in for a couple of years now is even more intriguing to me because of that amazing relationship and how these take care of each other. So my question is this too many trees for this pot, for this planting? These 5 trees are super small, but they fill out this pot really nice. The problem with the forest before is it was boom, boom, boom. Kind of looked like the first 3 pins of when you're going bowling. The first 3 pins, number 1, 2, and 3. And it just, you know, even though it's in the shade and we're hot, I'm gonna go ahead and spray these down real quick. So the trees are roughly in place, and I have my left wire longer than the right wire, and this back right is longer than the back left, because we're going to be connecting these wires together here in this process. Got this little short piece with the little loop on there, that's going to stay there. And our first trees that we have to connect is this front one, and we're going to bring it across the root pattern here, all the way over to across this guy on this side, as close to the side as possible. I'm going to do a first initial twist, and there we go. I have a little bit of trunk that I'm worried about clipping and creating some damage. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little inner tube there for some protection. Right there. Okay, and that'll protect that trunk for future. And now I'm going to take my pliers. I'll go ahead and leave all this wire connected. There's a lot of wire here. I'm going to start doing a little pulling and twisting. Lifting up a little bit. And pulling this tight. Getting a little tangled with this other one. So, it's not super tight yet, but this is the first of 4 or 5 connection points. Okay. So this tree is right there where I want it. Remember, it's warm out here. We're going to give those roots. So the second part of this wire is coming back to here, which isn't very far away because I only had one wire hole on this side, one on this side. It's the drain hole and the wire hole. I'm going to cut off the extra here, but I've got this wire here to just connect with this one right here. Just going to give this a couple of turns with my hands, get this wire in here. So if this was a more square box and a truer 4 or 5 point connection here, the wire would have been back here. Because they don't have a lot of wire holes in this pot, didn't have that option. Now this wire is going to come underneath this exposed root. This is kind of a bit of an aerial root on this tree, which is kind of nice. So we'll go underneath that root, and we come back to this corner over here, and we start the twisting process. And again, I'm going to cut off the shorter of the two. Go ahead and get my pliers in place. And get my spin. As we spin, it goes down onto the roots, creates some tension. And again, these trees, the little ones I hardly ever wire down. I will move this in a big storm to a protected area. But that's going to hold those trees in place. We'll tamp some soil in there and we'll be good. Before I go further, I want to see if I'm where I want to be with my trees. Why the wires are not completely taut yet. Twist it some more. And then, because I put this extra piece here, we have these two that we can connect at the end. And we have a lot of thick wire. They both match here at the end in thickness. And we take our pliers and give it a couple of final spins, connecting those two bigger double wires. And we have trees that are sturdy enough to stay in the pot. When we tamp down the soil, we should be good and secure. And these trees have always done a fine job of rooting themselves, even without wire. It's a shallow pot, not a lot of room for movement. And now we can plant our other trees. So there's the look of the forest of trees without the little ones in. And now we have to dig a little bit of the soil that we had in there. Got one little long root on this guy. I'm going to cut him off. And this is just going to be placed as best we can. And we throw soil on top. Back off. It's going into the forest, and I'll just trim this one right there. So it's just a little bit shorter, smaller tree up front. This one right here, I'm going to cut this leaf going in, and I'm going to cut the tip off right here, so maybe it'll grow up more now. And then I'm going to cut it shorter right there, so maybe this becomes the new leader. There's one back here as well. I'm going to cut it right there, so it'll hopefully grow up, shoot as well. So this is competing with this tree back here, but it splits with the growth up here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right there. Now we have a little gap in our forest. So I want to cut this shorter. And this one shorter. Just a little trim to ease up this length on that tree on that left side. We'll see what happens with that. This tree right here has this branch growing right at us. We're going to cut that off. Leave a little leaf inside to see what happens. This has a really tiny bud in here. Beautiful leaf right there. This is kind of growing and competing for this one. I'm going to go ahead and cut this big one right here, so it opens up and curves more that way. And I'm going to cut that one off. That's big enough for a cutting if I wanted to. But now the tree has movement up and back and around here, and we'll keep these as primaries for now. But I'll take off the tip. I'll take off that one. I'll take off the tip. So it just opens it up a little bit. I'm going to take this one right here off. And then that's going to compete with the tree back here now. We got them a little bit closer together. I can reposition this one a little bit, but everything growing towards us is a little bit too much. So we'll cut off this Y right there. The one pointing right at us, we'll cut off this tip, that tip. There's a branch going out to the back, so we'll cut that off right about there. Back in here, we've got this back tree now competing with one of the branches of this tree right here. This one right here. So I'm going to cut the branch that goes to the left from the big tree, make some more room for light to get in. And then with the bigger, the tree we just planted back here, there's this branch growing straight out the back. We'll just shorten that one out a little bit. But it won't get any light unless we thin it out up here, so we'll take off the branch that's going to the left right now as you see it, so it doesn't go into the bigger tree. There's a nice new leader going over to the right here, so I'm going to cut off this tree down another couple inches right there. Take all that off. So this tree still has this branch here to grow, and this one will just, find its way in the back there somewhere, somehow. Got some rocks to hold these trees in place for right now. I can go one more down with this one. We'll let this one try to come up and curve this way, so it goes in like this, so it doesn't block all of this. So we have a little bit of a hole right here right now, but with this tree in the back, it can grow up and bigger, fill in some space. This little tiny tree back here has some growing in the inside. We'll just cut those inside ones out. Cut the tip off, so that's just a little bitty tree right now. The trees are in place. We've done some initial trimming. We do have a bulk of the heavy trees in the back this time instead of out front, giving these all kinds of sun and glory. Hopefully they'll go up to be big trees and match up with those other ones. We'll kind of see how it goes over the next several weeks. I think we can call it a forest. We get all the trees in this pot. I think we'll just let it go at this and see what comes of it in the next couple weeks of this heat wave. We'll keep it out of the direct sun. It's plenty warm. The roots are going to be really happy. We'll keep this thing plenty wet and put it in a mostly shaded spot and see how this thing grows. It'll be a fun summer to watch this one build out. I had the 3 in the pot for a couple of years and all these other cuttings for the last couple of years, off and on, so it's nice to put them all in a pot and have kind of another forest that we can peek at. Well, great. Hey, that does it for another episode of Dave's Bonsai. I'm so glad you were able to join me today. Click like, subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification on there so you can always know when we got another one coming out. This was great fun. Super warm day. I'm a little sweaty myself. I think it's time to, hydrate myself. Feels good. Hey everybody, take care of you, take care of your trees, and we'll catch you soon.